I shouldn't have the interruptions this time. Sorry, the lighting's really bad on me. I can see that.
That's okay.
Let me turn on another light, see if that'll help.
Madison, you'll probably hear some stuff that we had in our blog.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Oh, that doesn't help at all.
Yeah, so I definitely took some ideas from there, copied paragraphs over.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, good. That makes me feel good that you did that too.
Yeah, try to make it easier on myself.
Yeah, same here.
A little better.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm scrambling today. I'm totally scrambling. I'll be honest with you. Okay.
Okay, I'm supposed to be director, I guess. Who would like to go first? Right, because we're just gonna give our speeches and then we'll all fill out our own evaluations. Right?
Yeah.
Is that everyone's plan?
Yeah, and we have to ask questions too, right?
Yeah, it has to be a Q&A. We have to have one question for each person at least.
Perfect. I cannot wait. Oh. Okay, do you want me to go first? Because I am feeling ill over having to give this speech.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're a monkey, Madison. You are a monkey.
This is a safe place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally safe here. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try and go first, and I hope that it's half decent. So, I just had something pop up. Okay. Okay. So mine starts out in 1960, a little over 400,000 people were cohabitated in America. As of 2012, that number has grown 17 times to over 7.5 million. And for this speech, cohabitation is going to be defined as a man and a woman who live together having a sexual relationship without being married. So, as another statistic, a couple who does not live together prior to getting married has 20% chance of being divorced within 5 years, but if that couple has cohabitated, that number jumps to 49%, so almost double. I've seen the effects of cohabitation in my own family. I have cousins that live with their boyfriends and girlfriends, and as one example, I have a cousin that married with his girlfriend for 3 years before they got married. They thought they were on fire. They could solve any problem, and life was great. 3 years after being married, they were finalizing their divorce. Each side has their own opinion on why divorce was the answer to their problem, but cohabitation didn't aid them for give them any foundation to fall back on. So they became part of the statistic. And so my question for everyone today is, why do people choose to cohabitate? If people choose to cohabitate to avoid divorce and statistics show the opposite, then why do people still do it? Come up with 2 reasons as to why this is the answer. People choose to cohabitate, and that is they don't view marriage as very important, and the other is they want to avoid divorce, which in my example previously shows that is not what it does. So young adults say that marriage is old-fashioned and that it's just a piece of paper, and olders otherwise that marriage is really important. In 1885, marriage was known as a holy estate of matrimony, and today cohabitation is a family status that's not uncommon. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the divorce part real fast. And what I want to bring out is that the probability of a first marriage ending in separation or divorce within 5 years is 20%, but the probability of premarital cohabitation breaking up is 49%, and after 10 years, the first marriage ending is a 33% statistic, and then for cohabitation, it's at 62. So this shows that those who court and date or marry without cohabitation are less likely to separate than those in cohabitation relationships. And I have seen that in my own life as well with my family that has not cohabitated. So a policy that I found when studying for this is that cohabitation is known as a simpler union. Is less of a headache. However, I beg to differ because when and if this cohabitating couple decides to separate, there's just as many hoops and headaches to jump through. You have to figure out who's going to cover what cost when they separate, who's moving where, I'm going to come from. And research shows that along with the infidelity of cohabitating relationships comes greater risk to women of sexually transmitted disease and unwanted pregnancies or children. And it's basically a divorce. There's still that headache. And so with that, my question today is, with so many statistics proving cohabitation before marriage is a poor choice, the question I have is, again, why? Why support cohabitation if it will almost surely lead to broken hearts, hassles with money, federal dependence, single-parent children who then grow up to repeat the cycle because they were not raised in a commitment-stimulating environment? Are we really so caught up in pleasing ourselves now that we forget to think of how our choices will affect the future? We must think beyond now. We must set standards and draw lines so that society is forced to rise to the occasion. We must promote programs that inform the public of these crucial findings, and we must support government rulings that define roles and set consequences. We must be definite so that we feel inclined to support someone's impulse. We will remember to ask ourselves again if we are truly helping them. And that's my
That was great.
Your timing was perfect, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. I'll let, early in your speech, you said that it's some statistics about where it's increased about 17%.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was higher than that.
So this study that I looked at, it's hard to find recent research, which is really interesting to me. And so that is from a few years ago, like 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
I agree, though, Madison. I had the same issue.
Yeah.
The data is never the same on any
No.
page, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy to me because it is a prevalent thing, and you would think that they would keep up with the statistics on it.
It's high, but they're not keeping up on it. You know, really is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great though.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question, so the other day I was talking to someone in my class on campus, and we were talking about this class, and we were kind of talking about what my topic was, which is cohabitation as well. And she mentioned how her parents had cohabited before they got married and joined the church, and they're still happily married, but then her in-laws have been members of the church their whole lives and never had cohabitated before they got married, and then they're now going through a divorce. And so she was kind of like, it's hard for me to see the difference and how it doesn't go with a lot of the statistics. And so I guess how would you, and I had a hard time knowing what to say to her, but how would you address a situation like that where it seems different than what the research shows?
I honestly would look at the reasoning behind the divorce, and every situation is different.
Yeah.
And cohabitation doesn't cause a direct cause for divorce.
Yeah.
And so I would look at that, but like as a whole, I hope this is right. As a whole, cohabitation is not going to support a marriage that will last. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. That's kind of what my thoughts were too.
Yeah.
Because obviously every relationship is different, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was perfect. Good job.
Thank you. Okay, you two can fight it out. Who goes next?
Your call. Your call, Shelby.
I don't care either way, honestly.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go.
Okay.
All right, just a sec. I'm sorry, it's so dark in here. Oh well, it's getting a little bit lighter. My camera's adjusting. Yeah, it's hard. I've got a window behind me, so I have a nice silhouette of my head.
I can see
All
your
right.
cheekbones, so that's good.
All right. Hello, my name is Sarah Walton. I am here today to ask you to consider a bill to support marriage. I don't have any intention to get into anyone's business, and I don't think that as Americans, we want that for ourselves or for our fellow countrymen. I'm from Western Colorado. I was the youngest of 6 children. My mother hoped to one day host all the children's wedding parties in our beautiful backyard. My parents spoke freely of their dream for us, which included our future spouses and, of course, grandchildren. The 1960s came, and the sexual revolution of the 1970s never left. News landed like lead in my parents' heart when my sister branched out from our traditional upbringing, which included marriage. When she was 18 years old, she chose to move in with her boyfriend. Cohabitation was new in the 70s. It was frowned on, and statistics were few, but unfortunately, she became one of them. From spruce.com, there is a list of some facts of cohabitation. Living together is considered to be more stressful than being married. Just over 50% of first cohabitating couples ever get married. In the United States and England, couples who live together are at greater risk for divorce than non-cohabitating couples. Couples who live together before marriage tend to divorce earlier in their marriage. They are more likely to experience infidelity. And compared to those who plan to marry, those cohabitating have an overall poorer relationship quality. They tend to have more fighting, violence, and less reported happiness. A year after cohabitating, my sister and her boyfriend married and began a family. The husband's drinking increased. Violence began, and infidelity surfaced. And did I mention a year after their marriage, he told her he had a child from a previous relationship. The marriage lasted a painful 7 years. Sadly, she has changed forever. The children had been abused, and alcoholism was a problem. Clearly, this was not the dream my parents had for my sister. Historically, cohabitation was appealing to interracial couples who were not allowed to marry, or to lower socioeconomic individuals who could not afford to get married. Cohabitation has increased 900% in 50 years, according to ABC News. The government has made many efforts to support marriage over the years, which we appreciate. There are tax benefits for family, health and medical benefits, and housing benefits for loans. I appreciate the government's efforts in supporting marriage and family for our society. But if we look at the factors that are still encouraging people to choose cohabitation over marriage, the salient factor for choosing cohabitation is still low socioeconomic status. People from poorer backgrounds. Since researchers argue that economic security is still a key factor in delaying marriage, and the US Census tells us the largest age group who choose cohabitation is between 25 to 34 years old, I propose that we have a bill presented. Just as there are marriage benefits for insurance and military, I believe we can have some financial benefits for college. Presently, UC Berkeley in-state tuition is $35,000 a year, Out of state is about 61,500. Could we not offer in-state tuition to out-of-state residents who are married and reduce in-state tuition to our in-state residents who are married? There have been some schools that have started this for the out-of-state people only. I believe that we could have some greater success with supporting our young families. Wouldn't this have a twofold benefit? To help the people with the lower socioeconomic situation get their education, encourage these family relationships, and do it where they can have the affordability. We should also include marital status with additional deductions for dependent children. If we want to support families, and I know the government does, and we recognize the majority of ages of people cohabitated between 25 and 39, and we understand that cohabitation is an attractive option because of financial reasons, let's get them the financial reason to make their relationships permanent. We want a stable relationship in our society. We want them for our children in our schools and for the leaders in our community. Thank you.
That was great.
Any questions? Go ahead, Shelby. Do you have any questions? Anybody?
That's funny. I didn't know you were cohabitation too. That's great that we're all talking about it. I don't know if I can't think of a question off the top of my head.
What was your opposing side? I can't remember. That's horrible. But can you tell me what your opposing side was again?
The opposing side?
Yeah, did you mention it?
I just said that they've supported it, and that it's an attractive option because it's supposed to be more financially feasible.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I got it right in my head. Thank you.
Any questions, Madison?
That was all I could come up with. I thought you did really well. It was really good.
So seriously, I researched this. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, what could we do? What kind of policy could we have that's pro-family? Mm-hmm. We don't want to get in people's business, and it would have to be open to any marriage because that is now defined in our constitution. Well, not our constitution, but in our country. But I would love to, have it more affordable. College is so hard on families.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and so I did some research, and there have been some schools that have done this, but they gave in-state to out-of-state people who were married. It was only for those people, and some people were getting married through Facebook, and they would never cohabitate or anything. They would just legally get the document, and so it was a scandal. And I think it can be done better. Anyhow, so that could be a bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea, though. Yeah, I like that because I couldn't think of anything.
It's hard.
Really. Yeah.
Have kiddos, people like you and your husband, Let's do families. Anyhow, it's up to you. You're Shelby, you're up, hon.
Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna jump into it. So when my husband and I were on our honeymoon in the Dominican Republic, we met this sweet couple from New York who were vacationing. Their names were Jose and Maricela. They were not married, but they were celebrating one of their anniversaries. They were so surprised at how young I was and how short my husband and I had actually known each other, and yet we had never lived together before we got married. Jose and Maricela had been living together for over a year and had been dating a couple years before that. Needless to say, they were shocked at our willingness to jump into the big commitment without having lived together first to make sure it would work out between us. This seems to be the mentality of most people today. Cohabitation is seen as a smart, sensible way to see if a relationship will work out in a marriage. It is often more convenient for the couple as well. They only have to pay one rent and they get to spend more time together. Needless to say, cohabitation is on the rise. In 1960, a little over 400,000 people were cohabiting in America. As of 2012, it's grown 17 times to over 7.5 million. One of the reasons it may have grown so much is that in about 1960 is when marriage started to be seen as just a piece of paper. Eventually, in the 70s, no-fault divorce was put into place and divorces became more and more common. This could have contributed to an increase in cohabitation because people saw their parents and others going through divorce, and those people wanted to test the waters before committing to marriage and risk going through a divorce themselves. Although cohabitation may seem like a smart way to see if two people work well together, research and studies have shown otherwise. A couple who does not live together prior to getting married has a 20% chance of being divorced within 5 years. If the couple has lived together beforehand, that number jumps to 49%. This greater divorce rate may be because of something that sociologists call the cohabitation effect. It's a term that is used to describe the fact that cohabitors across the board tend to have weaker, less healthy, more brittle relationships. Something that may be contributing to the cohabitation effect could be a lack of commitment. Cohabitation is a step between dating and marriage, so the relationship isn't quite a full commitment like it is with marriage. Holding back something in a relationship rather than being all in does make a difference, and cohabitation is a way of holding back. Another reason may be that the couple goes into the step of their relationship with different expectations. One person may be more casual, seeing this as a fun experience and just seeing where it could go, whereas the other person may be more committed, expecting this to lead to marriage. Couples who cohabitate experience a lot of the same conflicts that arise in marriage because it's essentially the same atmosphere as marriage, but without the contract or the full commitment. Cohabitation not only affects the couple's relationship, but it affects children as well. These children have a greater risk of living in an unstable family structure, especially when the mother lives with a man who is not their father. Across the world, cohabiting couples with children are nearly 2 times more likely to break up than those who are married, a rate that remains high regardless of socioeconomic status or the level of prevalence and social acceptance of cohabitation. Also, a report in 2010 on child abuse by the Department of Health and Human Services found that children living with 2 married biological parents had the lowest rates of harm, 6.8 per 1,000 children, while children living with one parent who had an unmarried partner in the house had the highest incident at 57.2 per 1,000 children. This goes on to show that children living in cohabiting relationships are 8 times more likely to be harmed than children living with married biological parents. Another study found that children residing in cohabiting families closely resemble children living in single mother families and that they have lower levels of well-being compared to children with 2 biological married parents. These studies show us that the best environment for children is with 2 biological married parents, but this is becoming less common compared to all the other family structures, especially cohabiting. This means that more and more children are going to have lower psychological well-being, as well as not having a model of a healthy relationship in their lives, and eventually they'll be the ones comprising most of society. These children aren't receiving the full love and support that they need. I was unable to find any international federal policies in place to fix the rise in cohabitation, but I did find that in certain states like Illinois, they sought to discourage cohabitation by failing to recognize cohabitation agreements, or the cohabitors' version of a prenuptial agreement. They failed to see these agreements as legally binding, but since then, laws have been put in place that granted legal rights to all civil unions. Personally, I don't think laws against cohabitation will prove to do any good. While it may seem like a smart idea and is more convenient financially, cohabitation may not be the best idea. And even though research suggests otherwise, people will still continue to think this way, and this trend probably won't be going anywhere anytime soon. The best thing we can do is to provide the information we have about cohabitation to the couples and allow them to make the decision for themselves. In making this decision, though, they need to take it seriously and discuss the implications that it can bring. They need to know that they are on the same page with their expectations of the relationship. Another good idea would be to provide some kind of education for everyone, but especially for children in high school, that helps teach about healthy relationship skills. I think that many people in our society don't know about or how to use these skills. I think that many people, this class could teach how to communicate with others effectively, conflict resolution skills, signs of an unhealthy relationship such as abuse, and teach about cohabitation and marriage. I think that this would help get to the root of the problem, which may be that people are unsure about how healthy relationships work, which is why they want to test the waters with cohabitation. The best thing we can do is inform society about how to have stronger, healthier relationships that can improve cohabiting and marriage relationships alike. Any questions?
Really good. Great information.
Thanks.
Sure, I have a question. I think it's important that we let people know also. How do you have something in mind? Have you given that thought? How could somebody do that? Are you just thinking privately, one-to-one, or is there some other venue? Is my question clear?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, cohabitating couples against the risks. Okay.
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, doing it in high school. I don't know if it'd be a good idea to have it as a required class or not. I don't know if kids would take it seriously or not. But I feel like it would be good to at least expose them to that information. So I would think high school would be a good idea, like just a required class in high school.
That's the policy right there.
Yeah.
That's the policy.
That's true, actually. I didn't think about that.
You know, somebody pushed sex ed in there. Somebody, you know, they pushed all these things in there.
Yeah. So yeah, if they could just teach about healthy relationship skills, I think that would make a difference in a lot of people's relationships.
Oh, that is such a great idea, Shelby.
Yeah.
And put it in schools. Yeah. Good. So you're talking about it before, which I like that, right? Because I think it's really hard when people have already made that commitment and they're already, you know, they're so excited to go play house and they're going to go get their little apartment set up and go to the thrift store and buy pans. And, you know, so you back up the cart and horse way back there. So they have some time to let those consequences simmer. They have some time to think about it.
Yeah,
Good.
exactly.
Okay. I can't think of any questions. You did a really good job, and I agree with you for like the whole class thing. Because there was one of my articles that I read talked about how we think it's the educated that are in these cohabitating relationships, but it's more often than not the uneducated. So I agree with that policy.
Thanks.
I believe that is all we had to cover. I'm pretty sure. Do you guys remember anything else?
I think it was just the peer review assignment that was with it.
Yes. Somewhere.
I really enjoyed listening to both of your speeches, girls. It was fun. That was a great assignment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want? I guess we have it. We have everything. You all know where the form is. Got the link.
Yes. It does ask for the classmate's email address. Could we use the BYU ones that we have for each other? Or does it have to be like Gmail?
Let's do BYU.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
That sounds good. Okay, and next week we're back on Wednesday, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4:30.
Well, it's a good idea to give us a little more time. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Me too.
Yeah, I needed that.
Okay.
All right, ladies. Well, it's good to see you. Is there anything more we need to do?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I've been so overwhelmed with this assignment. It's fine. Everyone has.
Yeah.
I have another one like this in a class tonight at 7 o'clock with a partner.
Awesome. You're so lucky. You're pretty good at it, so you could just get the same one again.
Yeah, that was great.
You did so good.
It's about buying a car.
Oh, wow.
We have to negotiate and haggle a price. It's for. Have you guys taken the required finance class 340?
Uh-uh.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Sounds like
It's a good class. I think that should be required in high school. It's such a good class. I'm old and I'm learning a lot. It would be really, like I'm making my college daughters who are home for the summer sit down and watch some of the videos. It's so good. Yeah, really good principles.
amazing.
All right.
Do you want to assign roles right now? I was director this week. Is it Shelby that goes next? I can't.
Yeah, I can be the discussion leader or whatever it is.
Sure. Okay. And so, Sarah, are you okay taking notes next week?
Okay.
You want me?
I'd be happy to do whatever
I
you.
can do it. Okay.
Did we take notes? Because we didn't take notes. Did we take notes today?
We didn't take notes today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we needed to.
Let's just keep the same as for today for next week because we didn't really do much.
Same as that. Okay.
It's kind of how I'm thinking.
Perfect.
Was I the one that signed up for the note taking then? If this would have been a normal discussion this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll do that next week then.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, ladies.
Good to see you. Have a good weekend.
You as well.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.